And I would now like to hand over the stage to Dr. Ravi Samuel to begin this meeting.
Thank you very much. I'd like to share a few things before we go on to understand about dance and the human mind. In a phase of various difficulties. On one side, the fear of coronavirus. Today, there is a news that Amitabh Bachchan is infected, and maybe the whole family too. It's not yet confirmed. So there is this mortal fear. And then on the other hand, there are lots of effects of the lockdown. People have lost jobs. Relationships have taken a wild turn because most of the time they are at home spending too much time. They are unable to handle because it was not rooted well in the beginning. Unfortunately, we hear so much about love marriages, but their basic understanding of each other is so fragile, so superficial. We hear about breakups and divorce much more during these lockdown periods. Then there is loss of finance. So many people have lost jobs. They have pay cuts. Some of them are working for half the salary just to keep the bread and butter on the table for the children to do the basic survival. So it's very difficult times now. The purpose of this webinar is to see how we can take solace from different aspects of life, different aspects of cultural practices. And I find the music has a profound effect on the mind. It gives a very big solace from the effects of stress on the body and mind. So also is the dance. Dance influences many parts of the brain. We are talking about a classical dance, not something that has come up now. We are talking about a dance which is there for 2000 years and above. This dance, in many ways, are therapeutic. Not many of us are even used to dancing alone at home, but watching someone like Amba, Aryamba, dance would trigger multiple reactions in the brain and can reduce stress, can make your mind activate some of the functions. You will be very surprised that it can have such an effect. I found this very beautiful quote: to watch us dance is to hear our hearts speak. If you ever get a chance to speak to Aryamba, you will only want more and more, because the concepts that she is presenting and the way she presents, comes very deep from the very understanding of life, music and dance. By the way, Amba is also a very accomplished singer. In a play which I attended, The Trinity, she sang so beautifully, which had a very good review the next day. So what they are doing is not superficial. It comes from their heart. It comes from their mind. You will see for yourself how the dance movements comes out of understanding. They are not just physical mudras. They are emotional and cognitive components. For the doctors and the psychologists here, the dance triggers multiple areas of the brain. I'll start from the bottom. cerebellum is involved when you make any physical movements as you see the dance. Not necessarily you have to dance. Even if you are going to maintain a rhythm, then the cerebellum is involved. For the actor, it is automatically involved because in some of the complex movements, you can see Amba standing in one leg in Natarajar pose. It calls for a lot of balance. Then the visual cortex is involved because they are following their own dance movements. Sometimes they also follow other dances. The hippocampus is involved because lots of it are memories, experiences, and the context in which they are dancing. It's not one routine movement they are making, but it is in context of music and the storyline which they are presenting. Then obviously the auditory aspects of the brain are involved in the parietal temporal region. Then the sensory cortex are involved because they are constantly in tune with what they are hearing and what they are experiencing. The amygdala is involved because they have to emote. It's the emotional reactions that they show has an effect on our emotions. And that is the therapeutic part. If Aryamba is going to show anger, then we will experience that krodham and we will relate to what she is emoting with our own experiences. The prefrontal cortex is involved because just watching the dance can improve your decision making and can improve your emotional reasoning. So if you are a person who often gets angry, if you sit to watch classical dance, then you are likely to become less and less angrier. And your mental faculties are likely to get sharpened. Motor cortex is involved, obviously, because so many complex mudras are presented in a very complex manner. Then the corpus callosum is involved in the whole coordination of the dance. So to briefly present, just watching someone's dance has a profound effect on your emotions. It triggers memories in you of similar events, and sometimes it can give a release of emotions that you have been suppressing. If you had a childhood trauma and you happen to see Aryamba dance a sequence which reflects that childhood trauma, you may come out of that trauma and you may come out of that conflict. The major benefit of watching dance is stress relief, because this is a time everybody is stressed. Then it stimulates the brain, the prefrontal cortex, your memories become sharper, and you become good with executive functioning like planning, decision making, organizing. The most interesting aspect is the muscle response. When Aryamba is dancing, our muscles are also reacting to it through a complex process called mirror neurons. So after some time, or along with Aryamba, if you try to dance, you may be able to come very closer to what she is dancing. That's because the muscles are reacting to the dance. There is a very beautiful saying, dance first and think later. It is the natural order. That's how primitively we are endowed with dance. Now, I hand over the floor to Amba to explain the emotions. Over to you, Amba.
Thank you, Doctor. First of all, I want to thank all those who are attending this session. I want to thank Doctor for asking me to do this, because it's allowed me to put in words a series of thought processes my mind during this lockdown and during this whole COVID times. The introduction has been really, really interesting because it's given me a very technical view of all that we experience as dancers. To start with, I want to say that dance is a visual art that involves total synchronization of the mind and the body. So I want to take you through the journey of a dancer. So when a dancer, his or her initial training, it is always through the body that the mind is kind of captivated. So therefore, the body is trained first. The body is trained in a particular vocabulary that dancers, in order to create a language that the mind can use as a tool to express what it wants to express. So without the involvement of the mind, the body cannot be trained. But the mind is not yet involved in the actual training process because it's still, the initial stages are still allocated only to train the body. The body is trained, the body is kind of made ready as a tool to take forward whatever the mind wants it to do. And this is the interesting part. You can't let the mind go wild with your body, right? So what happens here is once your initial training is done, the next stage is to start training your mind. And that journey is a long, long, long process. It can take some people just a few minutes and they have already achieved that mind control. It can take somebody years and years and years. We've seen this in a lot of spiritual experiences of other people also. Some people are just born to be spiritually inclined. Some people are just born to be immediately divine. And when I say divine, I don't mean restricted to any particular religion, but what I mean is that achieving that equilibrium of the mind, body, and your actions. So when there is an equilibrium there, when you attain a certain center, a concept of center there, then you are thought to be aligned with yourself. You are thought to be somebody who is one with yourself. So this process of aligning your mind to your center and therefore achieving the body, or the other way around, aligning your body to the center and therefore going to your mind, which is also done in yoga, is what dancers do. So we achieve the mind through our body. So we kind of, our way to our mind is through our body. After a point when our body is kind of malleable and it's ready to take what the mind says, then we start focusing on the mind and we start kind of channelizing our mind towards a certain goal. So the actual process, if you ask me, starts only after the body is kind of, the body control is kind of achieved. So after the body control is achieved, that is where the whole process of a dancer starts, because that is where a certain responsibility is given to the dancer, because now that the tool is ready, the dancer has to create art. The dancer has to create a dialogue. He or she has to create something that is relatable to the audience, relatable to the society today, and something that leaves the audience feeling full. So this concept of feeling full, something to do with a dialogue between the dancer on stage and the audience sitting in front. So what happens is, without the dancer feeling a certain emotion, the audience will not be able to feel it. So it is absolutely the responsibility of the dancer to emote a certain emotion with such sensitivity that it reaches the last person on the last corner of the auditorium. The second thing is, this is a very interesting part because it has been in my mind for several years. It is that when I cry, so I talk as a dancer on stage. When I cry, the audience also cry, but not because they are sad, but because they are sharing the joy of that emotion. What is the joy in somebody crying? But that is the flavor of the art. That is what an artist can do to somebody. The artist touches the audience's soul, not by making them feel the actual emotion, but giving them the joy of exploring these emotions and being one with these emotions in a way that they don't have to hurt themselves through certain situations. When I say hurt, I mean, so you don't have, the audience does not have to go through a trauma to cry along with the dancer. The audience can just see the dancer and start crying purely out of the joy of sharing that emotion. So this has been very, very interesting for me, because ultimately the concept or the aim of an artist, or at least a dancer, if I can speak for myself, is to reach that emotion of joy to as many as he or she can. And this joy is for us through a process of communication with the vocabulary we use in dance. And what the vocabulary that we use in dance is our body and our bodily gestures, our hand gestures, our emotional expressions, etc., etc. So to start off with, I want to say that the most important thing for a dancer is, of course, the lyrics, or something that the dancer is dancing to. And this is called the sahityam. The sahityam is the lyrics that the dancer uses in a composition. So the first step for a dancer is to understand the language of that composition. So if it's a Tamil composition, you understand the language of that composition and what the words mean and all of that. The second step is to kind of find out who the protagonist is in the composition. Is the heroine sulking? Is she in sorrow? Is she happy? You have to kind of bring it to one characteristic, and these characteristics are prescribed in various classifications in a text called the Natya Shastra. So this is a Sanskrit text written many, many ages ago by somebody called Bharata Muni. This is a non-religious text because it only talks about human emotions and exploring human emotions in several ways. There are similar texts in every regional language of India. Like, for example, the Silappatikaram in Tamil is a similar text, though it does not talk in detail about the technicalities of the emotions. It weaves all kinds of human emotions as a story. So the Silappatikaram is a story, but the detail it has for human emotions is incredible. Similarly, every regional that deals with human emotions in great detail. So the first step after you understand the language and the word that the composition is talking about is to understand what the heroine or the hero is. What is the character of the hero or the heroine? Then is when the mood of the song is kind of clear to the dancer. Now, the mood of the song is the song happy? Is the song sad? Is the song talking about anger? Is it expressing some kind of pathos? You have to understand what the emotion of the song is. Based on this, we create a dialogue pattern for the whole composition. So based on all of this, meaning the lyrics, the character, and the mood of the song, based on these three, we create a set of dialogues that we think is most suitable for us to dance. Sometimes you find compositions that talk about somebody else's emotion. It's by a friend called the Sakhi or the Sakha. the female or the male friend who goes to the other partner in love. If the protagonist is a heroine, then the heroine's friend will go to the hero and explain to him about the state that the heroine is in and why the hero should hurry up and come to the heroine so that she can be relieved of the grief. So usually you also see this Dutika Bhavam. This is a messenger. You also see that in dance. So these are the most common varieties of compositions that you can find. Now, what happens when we create a set of dialogues in our head is that in the beginning, so this is prescribed again in the Natya Shastra. It is prescribed that there are 8 kinds of human emotions, basically. 8 emotions. These are called the Ashta Rasas. So rasas are emotions that are part of a bigger classification. So when I say Shringaram, it is the first rasa that is prescribed, or it says that Shringaram is the first rasa that any human being experiences when he or she enters the world. So Shringara, technically speaking, is defined in the text as an emotion that arrives out of expectation. It does not say love, it does not say lust, it does not say anything specifically, but the Sanskrit explanation to Shringara is any emotion that arrives due to an expectation on the other. So mostly the expectation is because the person is in love with that person, with the other person. When I say love, please don't get me wrong, it's not one kind of love that these texts talk about. It's love in general, the love between 2 plants, the love between 2 animals, the love between siblings, parents and children, friends, lovers, nature and you. Anything that is bound in this world is called love in the Sanskrit text. In that sense, if you see that every other emotion falls under Shringaram. You are angry at somebody because you expected something out of them, and to kind of convince that expectation, and therefore you are angry. You are sad at something because you expected that it would be a happy memory, but it turned out to be sad. All of your emotions are because of a disappointment of your expectation. So in that sense, the Sanskrit text says that Shringara is the Rajarasa, or it's the king of emotions, because that is what gives the opportunity for all other emotions to rise. You are sad because you loved something. Everything is caused because you are attached and you had a certain expectation to that particular person or thing. So having said that, we have already seen that there are 8 kinds of emotion. Later on, there was an addition to this emotion, and the 9th emotion was added. It was called Shantarasa. Initially, the original text did not have the Shanta as an emotion because older Indian philosophies and thought processes thought that Shanta was an innate part of everything. If you are not in a state of equilibrium, you can't feel a certain emotion. And the Sanskrit text added it later on only to reinstate the fact that Shanta is the innate nature of everybody. And because we are sane, we feel emotions. If we are not sane and if we don't have Shanta in us, we might not have the ability to feel emotions. This is what the Sanskrit text says. So now at present we have 9 emotions, and one of the emotions is shoka or sorrow. One out of a bigger classification called karuna or pathos. It's also translated as compassion sometimes, karuna. It's because you have a certain self-pity that you feel sorrow for yourself. It's because of a certain pity that you feel sorry for others. So a state of pity or self-pity translates to become shoka or sorrow, which is, if you see, the parent of shoka is karuna. And according to ancient texts, this could be or one's own property due to exilement. So this is very, very relatable to today's time. And this was prescribed many thousand years ago. It says it due to a loss of a loved one or due to one's own loss of property. So the property could be any wealthy means of making money, property of anything, of literally anything that you can possess physically, right? The opposite of karuna is hasya. What happens is, the text says that we can seldom laugh at our own sorrows, though this could be a way of getting out. Describes a lot of ways that you can get out of these emotions. And if you can laugh out your emotions, if you can laugh out your sorrows, then it's no longer a sorrow, because you see the point, you see that it's very immaterial and it's very short-lived. It's not going to stay a long time. It's going to laugh at our own sorrows. Then the text says that it could probably go away and shoka would not exist if we can laugh at it. Therefore, hasya is considered to be the opposite of shoka. On stage, we represent this emotion by portraying immobility. Like, you're absolutely, so when somebody hears a shocking news or a sad news, the first reaction is to kind of assimilate what is going on, right? You first kind of, suddenly if somebody tells you somebody in your house has died or your dog has died, the first thing that you would do as natural human beings is to take a step back and think, wait, what is happening, right? So that is a state of immobility that we show on stage. Number 2 is fainting. We do it a little more subtly, where, so if, for example, a very common example of this is, if I can quote the Ramayanam, there is a scene where Rama's father is told that Rama is going off to the forest for 14 years. And the first emotion and the first reaction that Rama's father has is that he faints, because he is unable to believe that his son is going to go away from him. So this is an example, this is a way of portrayal of shoka. The third is change of skin. So this skin color is apparently supposed to change if you are a good actor. I'm sorry, I haven't been there yet, but it's a stage in life, I guess. So the change of skin color, if you see really good actors like Nagesh or some great actors, right? Charlie Chaplin, for example, you can see that the skin, every hair in his body will react to the emotion that he's feeling in his head. And that is a sign of a great actor, because if you can emote that much of that emotion, there is no way that the audience can skip feeling it. So that is another way that we show shoka on stage. The fourth is trembling. There is trembling, tears, change of voice. So if it is a theater art where it needs you to speak, then there is a change of voice. You won't talk normally after you've been hit by a sad news. You won't be the same person. So these are the changes that we show in dance when we perform a sequence of shoka on stage. So we also have something called the Uttama, Adhama and Madhyama concept. I'm going to keep this very, very short. Basically, the text says that there are 3 kinds of ways a human being can react to any emotion. If the human being is at the best of their behavior, then they're called Uttama. If the human being is any normal human being, right, they are Madhyama, or the medium. They're normal. The ones that totally don't have control of their emotions are called the Adhama, or the ones below normal. So there are three categorizations there. The Uttama have complete control over their emotions. And the second is the Madhyama, who are normal people. Sometimes they feel the emotions, but they have the ability to assimilate that they are going through an emotion, and they will be able to take a decision whether they want to go forward with it or not. So that is a Madhyama. The Adhama is mostly somebody who will not realize that they are going through an emotion until it's over, until another emotion takes over, right? So these are the three classifications that the text says. So for Shoka, it says that an Uttama will feel pain only when it is for the others. So only when somebody else is in sorrow, they will feel the sorrow. The Madhyama will feel sorrow for themselves. The Adhama will feel sorrow because they have lost something that they didn't need, or something that was not theirs. It could be a person, it could be material things. So this is the classification given by the text, Uttama, Madhyama, and Adhama. So I will quickly get done with Shoka, and what I'm going to be presenting as a dancer on Shoka are going to be something that is relatable to today's times. It's going to be sadness because loss of income, financial crisis again, unavailability of food and basic needs, uncertainty of the future, uncertainty of children's future, education, etc., etc., pressure in work, pressure at home, and unable to move out due to leisure. Unable to move out for leisure, I'm sorry. So all of these things is what I will be attempting in the presentation. So if doctor has anything to add on, I can present after that. Sorry, doctor, you're on mute.
I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Ponkumaran, a director who has been keenly watching you explaining about various emotions. I'm sure it will reflect on his movies. He's a very accomplished man in Kannada film industry, and also the screenwriter for Lingam by Mr. Rajinikanth. So he's a very prominent person, and also Yasmin from Inner Circle International Tirunelveli is here with us. Mr. Muthu is with us, and Aryamba's parents are here with us, Mr. Sriram and Mrs. Devi. So, yes, I completely endorse your views, Amba, and the people say that time heals, but actually time never heals our sorrows. It just enables us to cope with the sorrow. So basically our pursuit has to be to develop skills to cope. This is the moment to learn, because we are losing people around us. So many deaths, so many losses. So we are very eager to learn from you. Over to you, Amba.
So I will now go ahead and do a small presentation on Shoka. What you will see here is a scenario of somebody working on the laptop and being stressed by it. The stress causes them so that they're unable to go forward and do work, and that causes more stress. So what happens is, as the night kind of dawns on them and as they want to go to bed, the whole day of emotions kind of whirl up in the person's head. So what this person is going through is a state of mental agony again, where the person is unable to think clearly, therefore leading to unsureness of what's going to happen next, because everything is so uncertain for them. So we will see the presentation now.
Can I just take a minute? We have Amba's grandmother sitting with the father. It's such a privilege to have the grandmother watch the granddaughter, and I'm sure she feels very proud of her granddaughter. The uniqueness of Amba is that she makes us all very proud. Over to you, Amba. There, the mother is also there, Mrs. Devi Sriram.
I want to add that I think both sets of grandparents are watching this. So
Wonderful. What a great moment.
is this audible?
Yes, it is.
Let me know. അറിയിക്കട്ടെ നിന്റെ സൗണ്ട് വരുന്നുണ്ടോ?
Why mute is it? So that was a short presentation on how we present a piece of shoka. The next thing that doctor wanted me to talk about was bhayam or fear. Doctor, do you have anything to say before I start?
That was a very beautiful portrayal of Soka. I could see when you experience the beginning of sadness, you were processing in the mind. And then it transforms into a physical form where you become very slow. Your body gives in to the sadness. You are disabled completely. Your cognition is down. And then the whole act of experiencing various difficulties, not having enough money, not having food to eat, not even getting sleep, and then the process of actually, as I was watching you, I could experience that sadness. It was a magical moment.
Thank you. So this is what I was talking about in the beginning. Though I was expressing sorrow, the magic that you feel is the whole purpose of art. The whole purpose of art is to say that all emotions are a journey, but the undercurrent is that magic that you create in life, and that is what you need to keep. That's what should give you hope to go on with life. So because every emotion is worth its magic, whether it is something that you like or don't like, it's worth the magic. So
Absolutely.
So can we move on to bhayam?
Sure. I have something to say a little more about it. So as I said, time heals, but certainly we have to experience this kind of art form to bring out the sadness in us. You know, when Amba was demonstrating, we felt sad. Right now, I don't feel like crying, but there seems to be some release of emotions in me. Right. This is the entire thing about following dance. You know, if all of those who very closely watched Amba, there was a release of neurochemicals in the brain, sometimes appropriate to the emotions being portrayed. As I said, the executive functions of the brain gets enhanced, your memory becomes better. There is a profound effect of dance on the mood. Some of you must have experienced as you closely watched her. and also it reflects on the cognitive functions. We are now going to move towards fear. So much of fear. Will I get this illness? Will I lose my job? What will happen to my family? What will happen to my son's future? What will happen to the rent that I need to pay if I cannot pay for one more month? The house owner is going to ask me. So fear sometimes enables us. When you're anxious about a performance, you prepare, you rehearse. Even if it is a presentation, you speak at home and rehearse. But there is a level of fear that can completely disable you. And we are living in that kind of a situation. Let us see what Amba has got to show us.
Okay, since I already kind of gave you an introduction about how we kind of approach a certain emotion, this is going to be a very quick explanation. So, like we saw in Shokam, the opposite of Bhayam is Veera or valor. So, when you are valorous, there is no scope for you to feel fear. So the text says that Bhayam is due to the attention of the mind given to anticipation and comprehension of occurrence of the undesirable. So the text says that the mind feels fear not because of what's happening, but because you're paying attention to something that you're not ready for. And life gives you with a choice. Even after you've experienced fear immediately, what you can do is to take a step back and see, is this fear actually real? Or am I imagining in my mind? Or is there a way out of this fear? Right? And mostly there is a way out of that fear. So on stage we represent fear with everything that Shoka is described with, but also with trembling of always some, we call it chanchalam, meaning it's never constant. There's always something that's unstable inside, and therefore it's always in constant movement. There is no confidence in the eye, and you can see this in a lot of people that when they are in fear of something, they can never have an eye-to-eye conversation. So stable movement of the eyes, shrinking of the stature, the body kind of shrinks. There's something where we hide, so we always hide. So this hiding can be a physical representation of something that's going on in our mind, or it could also be a physical hiding where you hide from a lion or something. So what it says is the fear can be caused by nature or one's own nature. So if you are by nature somebody who fears things, then that can be a cause. The second is one's offense towards others. You can fear because you have offended somebody else. That can also cause fear. So these are the things that we might want to take care of. If you don't want to feel the emotion, don't give it to somebody else. So don't be the cause of somebody else to feel some kind of a mental depression that might. And then it can also be caused by others for their own purpose. So that's their problem, right? If they are causing you the fear, then that's their problem. But you still have a choice to not fear about it. You only have to fear if you are going to be the villain in somebody else's life, not the other way around. So the presentation of fear is going to be very crisp. It's going to be a fear of uncertainty, fear of the future, immediate and far, fear of death, of one's own death or a loved one's death, and fear of contracting the disease. This is exclusively for this time. that is all about what the presentation is going to be. Doctor, would you like to add something?
Nothing at all.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the presentation. So that was sorry about that. So that was a short thing on fear. So the thing that it's an unsaid rule that when you're in fear, the tears that come out are sometimes not comprehended by the mind. Unlike Shoka, where you know you're sad, you're crying. But in fear, tears are almost an involuntary action. So there are several involuntary actions that are noted down in the text as well. But we won't go into that. But I think leave it to doctor to explain the rest of fear.
Beautiful. That was a very beautiful display of fear, because fear is the predominant mood right now among people. When they go out, they are scared of others. Inside the house, they are scared of visitors. If someone says, I'm going by your house, I am thinking of dropping in, we are not happy to welcome. We are scared. The tears in your eyes shows your involvement in your work, and we are very touched by that. So, in the moment where we are all engulfed by fear, as I said, fear can enable and fear can disable us. This art form, if you had followed her very closely, she was so involved, she is moved to tears. It enables us to experience the fear of various aspects that she demonstrated and brings a release of those emotions. And that is what is very important in the whole demonstration. I'm sure all of you must have lost people around you whom you loved, and not yet we are in a safe zone. We have no idea what is going to happen in the near future. But we have a tendency to sit and cry when we lose someone. We have to ask ourselves, do we love people? Do we show the same love to those who are alive? There are so many relationships around us. Do we show them that we care for them? Do we show them that we love them so much? Because that will make a very big difference in their lives. There are many people who have lost their lives. Did they ever know that we loved them and we miss them so much and we are so upset and we are broken to pieces by their exit? I'm sure they may not know because we never expressed our love. The word love only reflects romantic love, but we are talking about love towards grandparents, parents, siblings, friends, relatives. There are people who are praying for you to be safe. You may not even know. They may not even tell us that they are praying. There are people who call us and inquire. Now, Amba is going to give us a demonstration of love. Over to you, Amba.
Thank you, Doctor. So before I go ahead with the presentation, I want to say a few things. I will keep this quick because I know we're running out of time. So basically, we all know that change is the only constant. Therefore, we should believe that the face of negativity is also in the face of change. So that is also in its constant movement. It's not going to last forever. And we should keep that hope. So again, as I mentioned in the beginning, Shringaram or love is the Raja Rasa for us. It is the king of emotions for us. And this king of emotions deals with all human emotions that entangle it. When I say entangle, I mean the Sanskrit text prescribes that if a person is in love, it could be with anybody. It could be with an animal, with a plant, with a human being, with nature, with a thought, with an art form, absolutely anything. Then there is a certain sense of involvement, attachment, and also a certain sense of expectancy, right? So what happens is when this expectation is not met, disappointment happens that leads to various emotional outbursts. And this outburst is very unique to each person. Some people have different emotions as an outburst. The others have very, very different emotions. This is unique to each person. But the priority here and the most important thing that should be understood is why that emotion is being outburst. So the text says, if you are angry at somebody because the other person failed to reach your expectation out of them, then it is a normal emotion. But if your anger is baseless, then the anger is invalid. And those kinds of emotions that are baseless or something that is not out of an expectation merely means that you are in no control of your emotions. So what is important for us to know is how do we analyze our emotions and how do we channelize them according to our analysis. So having said that, I'm going to go on to do the presentation. For this presentation, I've taken a very popular song, Chinnanjirikiliye. This is in Tamil. So basically, it talks about the poet describing all the joys that the child gives him or her. My interpretation of this is that the mother and my protagonist in this story is in love with her own child, her pet animal, her pet plants, and everything around her that has a life in it. So in this song, you will see that the mother caresses the pet and the plants just as much as she caresses her own baby. So I couldn't find a better song for portraying what Doctor and I wanted to do this evening. But I hope that this will kind of reinstate the fact that it's love that binds us all, and that's what is going to keep us going in life. So I am going to go ahead with the presentation if that's okay with you, Doctor.
Absolutely.
Okay.
என்னை கனித்தீர்த்த உலகில் ஏற்றம் புதியவன் பிள்ளை கனிய முத கண்ணம் பிள்ளை கனிய முத கண்ணம் அள்ளி அணைத்திடவே ஆடி வந்தே சின்னஞ்சிரி கண்ணம்மா ஓடி வருகையிலே கண்ணம்மா உள்ளம் ஓடி வருகையிலே கண்ணம்மா ஆடி திரிதல் கண்டால் உன்னை போல் ஆவி தழுவிரடி ஆடி திரிதல் கண்டால் உன்னை போல் ஆவி தழுவிரடி சிந்தனை முகந்தால் ககுவம் மோகி வளருதடி சிந்தனை முகந்தால் ககுவம் மோகி வளருதடி மெச்சி உனை ஊரார் புகழ்ந்தவள் மேனி சிலிர்க்குதாடி மெச்சி உனை ஊரார் புகழ்ந்தாள் மேனி சிலிர்க்குதாடி முத்தம் முத்தால் உள்ளம் தான் கழுவதி கொள்ளுதடி உள்ளம் தான் கழுவதி கொள்ளுதடி உன்னை தழுவினோ மதமாகலடி உன்னை தடுவிடினோ கண்ணம்மா மதமாகலடி உன் கண்ணில் நீர் வழிந்தால் என் நெஞ்சில் உதிரம் கொட்டுதடி உன் கண்ணில் நீர் வழிந்தால் என் நெஞ்சில் உதிரம் கொட்டுதடி என் கண்ணின் பாவையன்றோ கண்ணம்மா என் கண்ணின் பாவையன்றோ
So
was-
that was
very beautifully done. I'll give you a time to breathe. I for a minute thought there was a child in front of you. And when you took the child in your arms, I was so touched that you could portray the pride of a mother, the involvement of a mother with a child, and going through the emotions of the child. Over to you, Amba.
That's about it. So if anybody wants to add, ask, or if doctor you have something to finish up with.
Sure. So that was a very beautiful portrayal of love. This love, as she demonstrated, is the lifeline for all of us. Not just from our mother, from our father, from grandparents, relatives, everyone, every one of us. So we are all in this journey in life which makes it possible to face any kind of challenges and crisis, be it corona or any virus. It is this love that takes us forward. All of us saw Amba beautifully dance and emote. This does not come out of few hours of practice. This is years of practice, and the emotions that she could emote is something I'm sure she's feeling deep inside even now. That's why I wanted to give her a small break. So it is the emotions, it is the love that makes us all move forward. Let us use this medium of dance for our own development. You can dance, as I said, for your personal development of brain development, personality development. You can dance to enhance your mood. Some of us feel very heavy seeing our dance because we just faced three very intense emotions: fear, love, sorrow. I'm sure many of you are reflecting on that deep inside. Some of you may not even be aware. So that is the kind of effect it has on our mind. Lastly, we also need to admire and appreciate people like Amba who have put in hours, I would say, their life into it. That's when we can see a performance like this. So thank you very much, Aryamba, for accepting my invitation. In your busy schedule, practicing and coming out with such a brilliant performance. I see lots of chats appreciating you, saying it's a very moving performance and very brilliant performance and all that. I would like Mr. the director to give some comments about the entire program. Sir, you have been watching us. Mr. Pon.
Yes, doctor. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Ariamba, I'm speechless. This is the best performance I have ever seen in my life. So you don't need any language for you to explore. Whatever you want to tell, you explore with your body language itself. So it's nice. All your performance and things are mind-blowing. All the very best. And basically, we are in cinema. When we are writing scripts, we write the first scene, second scene. When the hero comes, we used to write hero introduction song. So that music part will happen. Then he meets the heroine. Song number 2, duet 1. So in that way, we are using music in films. Sometimes, like OK Kanmani, there is a 3-minute song. Malargal Ketten Vaname Tandane, Tannir Ketten Amirdam Tandane. With that 3 minutes, 2 hours of intense feel can be conveyed in that 3 minutes. So in an old film like Vaidegi Kathirandal, there's a beautiful song at a widow. We need 2 hours of screen time to describe the sorrow of that girl, Revati. In 4 minutes song, ultimately the sorrow is being transferred to that entire audience as well as that. So it's nice to join with you guys. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that very beautiful words. இங்கிலீஷ்ல தான் பேசணும்னு இல்லை, தமிழ்லையும் பேச. This is just informal discussion. I can see Amba's mother, Mrs. Devi, smiling. I'm sure she's very happy and proud to see her daughter. So also the father and the grandparents. உங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது சொல்லலாம் இப்போ. Any comments from you?
Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's always a joy to see a daughter dance. Thank you so much for connecting her to her emotions. You all get connected to that. In fact, I would, along with the dance, it's also the intense prayer that increases the positivity in the atmosphere, whether it's a home or anywhere, that gives greater strength, inner strength. So that's my thing. So thank you so much for meeting all of you.
Thank you very much, madam. Thank you. I know you're a backbone to Amba because the moment she finishes dance in programs, you're there to take care of her. What a wonderful thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Madam Sridevi, psychologist, நீங்க ஏதோ சொல்லணும்னு ஆசைப்படுறீங்க, சொல்லுங்க. அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு.
Okay. Good evening, doctor.
Good evening, madam.
Wonderful session. ரொம்ப thanks. ரொம்ப நல்லா இருந்துச்சு. The love, feeling, fear, the emotions எல்லாமே டாக்டரும் பார்த்துட்டு இருந்தோம். ஸோ ஃபர்ஸ்ட்ல இருந்து அந்த செஷன்ஸ் ஃபுல்லாவே உங்களோட டான்ஸ் செம்ம சூப்பரா இருந்தது. நைஸ். தேங்க்யூ டாக்டர். தேங்க்ஸ் a lot.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much.
Okay. Welcome, sir.
I want to add on.
Sure, madam.
The thing is, Ariamba, that was really very, very nice performance to say. I remember that the emotions, what you carry while doing the dance, it will be transferred to the audience through the they will cry out. It's not that crying out, it's that emotions that they're feeling. I can see that emotions in your mother. It was really wonderful actually to say that you have transferred your emotions like joy. I can see that joy in your mother eyes. That was really very nice. That was really very nice performance. Actually, you touched the heart of everyone. That's the thing.
Thank you.
Doctor,
I just want to add that I don't think I should take the credit because this is what the art is meant to do. So I'm just happy that I was able to do that.
That shows your humility. Sushila, madam, do you want to say something? Sushila Mani. Right. So we have come to the end of this session. I'd like to thank once again Aryamba and her parents. When I approached Amba, immediately she agreed. I thought she will ask for some time. She will say, Doctor, இது என்ன கான்செப்ட், இது எப்படி பண்றது, இது என்ன, what is it you got in your mind? ஒண்ணுமே கேட்கல. கிளாசிக்கல் டான்ஸ் அண்ட் த மைண்ட் அப்படின்னு ஒரு ப்ரோக்ராம் பண்ணலாம் அம்பா அப்படின்னு சொன்ன உடனே she said yes doctor பண்ணலாம். எப்போ பண்ணலாம்? I asked her. I thought she is going to tell me a date which is a month from now, but she said இந்த சண்டேவே பண்ணிடலாம் டாக்டர்னு. எங்களுக்கு வேற ஒரு வெபினார் இந்த டைம்ல இருந்தது. Because Amba gave us the time, we did our program in the morning and we had this program. So
I'm sorry, I wasn't aware of that.
no problem. We had a very beautiful session in the morning also. So that was the kind of involvement that she had. And when she told me the script, I was astounded. Because whatever I had in my mind, whatever we have been seeing in the community, it was there. When I asked Amba, எப்படிமா இதெல்லாம் நீங்களே போட்டிருக்கீங்க, எனக்கு வேலையே இல்லையே, நீங்க எல்லா எமோஷன்ஸும் இதுல போட்டுட்டீங்களே அப்படின்னு சொன்னப்ப she said, this is in the text, this is in the Sanskrit grammar for dance. So many of you must have seen that there was emotions, there was mudras, there was art of dance. So it is, the dance is not just a single component, but a mix of so many issues. I could see that she has நல்ல உள் வாங்கிட்டு ப்ரெசென்ட் பண்ணாதான் இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ப்ரெசன்டேஷன் கொடுக்க முடியும். உள் வாங்காம வெளியோட்டமா பண்ணா இந்த எமோஷன் நமக்கு வராது. அவங்க ஏதோ ஒரு டான்ஸ் சீக்வன்ஸ் பண்றாங்க அப்படின்னு தோணுமே தவிர்த்து, இப்போ உதாரணத்துக்கு கிளாசிக்கல் டான்ஸ் வந்து சினிமால காமிப்பாங்க, ரொம்ப கொடூரமா இருக்கும். ஆனா அம்பா டான்ஸ் பண்றப்ப பாத்தீங்கன்னா we could feel that emotion. We were touched and moved, and our own personal issues came in front of our eyes. நம்மளுடைய கஷ்டங்கள், நம்மளுடைய பிரச்சனைகள் நம்ம கண் முன்னாடி வந்து நம்ம எமோஷன்ஸை வந்து அம்பா மேல பார்த்தோம். ஏன்னா நம்மளோட எமோஷன்ஸ் நம்மளால பார்க்க முடியாது. ஸோ அதை வந்து அம்பா கிட்ட பார்த்தோம் நம்ம. ஸோ வித் தீஸ் வேர்ட்ஸ் ஐட் லைக் டு hand over to Varsha to close the meeting.
Thank you, Doctor. Aryamba, before I proceed, it was such a wonderful performance. I'm just reflecting everyone's thoughts here. I think everyone was moved by your performance. There's one question, however, from Kavya. She asks you if you could give an example of Athama.
Adhama, see, these are broad classifications. So basically, if you take any emotion, you will have 3 stages in it. If you feel, like for example, take fear, right? Or let's say shokam. I think that's the easiest that all of us can understand with. So when we take shokam, the uttama in shokam would be somebody who feels sad for anybody else who's suffering. Let's take a scenario of this time of, very strange times, right? So if you are feeling sorry for somebody on the road who usually earns a living by somebody donating to them on a daily basis, and there is nobody on the roads today, what are they going to do? If you feel sorrow for them, you are probably belonging to the Uttama character, because you're feeling it's not about your ego after that. Right? If you're a Madhyama, then it means you are consumed by your sorrows, which is okay. I mean, everybody has to deal with their sorrows, which is okay. What the text does not recommend is the Adhama, because in the Adhama, you will see that you are not only engulfed in your ego, but you also don't want the other person to be happy. Not only are you not happy, you don't want the other person to not be happy as well. That is a very low quality when it comes to the text. So text says anybody who has or possesses that quality should get rid of it. Again, the text does not discriminate anybody. It says that this is possible in everybody. Everybody will have an adama of some emotion or the other. It's just our duty to kind of narrow it down. We have to understand. We have to sit and think about what we are going through as emotions. Even if we are not able to do it as we are feeling the emotion, we need to kind of do that post-mortem of our emotions, at least after we felt it, so that we are not caught in that trauma of that whole vicious cycle again. So in general, that is adama. But there are lots of layers to it. I think this is the best I can explain in this.
I think you
I
put
hope
it
that
really,
answers the question.
yeah, you
that
put it really simply, and I think it's and relatable as well. Thank you for that. If anyone has any other questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or just type it out in the message box. If there are no questions, I'll hand it over to Guy.
Yasmin here. I want to thank Aramba. Like, it was a wonderful session. Frankly speaking, I don't know anything about classical dance, but your dance was very graceful and it was spellbound and mesmerizing. I think this is a start for us. Like, we going forward, put ourselves looking into classical dance. Thank you for the start.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think I'll hand it over to Gayatri. Gayatri, could you just please present the vote of thanks?
Yes, Varsha. Thank you, Varsha. First of all, before going to a formal vote of thanks, I think I would like to say a few words about this particular webinar. For it's like both the brains work together and has given us most memorable evening today. And moreover, Aryamba, like you have explained us very beautifully all the part from the text also. So we know Sogam as Sogam only. You have given us a very brief about that and about the fear also, about the presentation you have done for that. So all these three presentation gave us more detail about each emotion. So that is very great, and I was very happy to be part of this particular webinar. So let me go to the formal vote of thanks. So it's like Honorable Director Pon Kumaran sir, Honorable Aryamba Sriram ma'am, and respected Sriram sir, Devi ma'am, parents of Aryamba and grandparents of Aryamba, and most valued invited guest, ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this webinar. I, on behalf of Dr. Ravi Samuel and the entire team, I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all speakers for gracing your important work and sharing with us your finding and your knowledge and your experience. Over to you, Varsha.
Yeah, thank you, Gayatri. Thank you for that. And reflecting everyone's thoughts again, performance, and I can see the pride on your parents' face and your grandmother's face. I could see the pride on everyone's face. And Thank you very much, Dr. Ravi Samuel. A wonderful session again, the brain behind this. Thank you so much again. And as always, you have hit the nail on its head. You've driven home the points that we need to take away. So we have a lot of takeaways from this. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you everyone for being a part of this. Okay, goodbye and have a wonderful evening.
Hello, madam. Hello, Mrs. Srinath.
Hello, doctor.
How are you?
Good evening. Yeah, we are fine. Thank you so much. It was like, sorry, I could join a bit late because we had our Sunday satsang. So
Oh, right.
I had to just finish I finished my chanting and then join. It goes on till 7:30. So
I see.
but thank you so much. You are, in fact, உடனே பேசணும்போது அப்ப வரல, but you are more family. So I didn't know whether I should say it in public.
Very nice of you to say that. I keep telling my assistants that your family is very close to me, and I get lovely things from your kids. The last
and Amba is more your brainchild, like you are the second mother, sort of. So I could see the pride in your face when you saw Amba totally transformed and so mature.
Absolutely, and she has put in hours and hours of work, so obviously it comes across very well when she presents something, isn't it? I could see a very deep involvement in her. Right. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. How have you been? Your family, they all are okay, doctor? Maybe we should.
I have moved to Tambram, and I'm in quarantine, completely away from the world and not going out at all. So keeping safe. There is no physical clinic, only virtual clinic. So only calls, video calls.
Good evening, doctor. Doctor, good evening. Sriram here.
Sir, you are from Kerala now.
I'm here.
I think your mother got.
I'm in Trivandrum under a triple lockdown.
Triple.
Yes, I'm under a triple lockdown here.
I see. What exactly is that triple lockdown?
What I would request is, this is a wonderful theme actually, because this is most needed today.
Right.
See, I'm seeing all around me a lot of negativity, a lot of fear, a lot of sorrow. I think there is another emotion which we also need to capture, apart from the basic, anger, food not being there, all of that. We're seeing another very basic human emotion, which is human beings not caring for others. For example, not allowing bodies to be cremated, not allowing bodies to be buried, people, doctors being in the front of, that's a whole different raw emotion which is coming out now.
Correct.
A different type of emotion.
Correct.
Which is the most basic emotion, which is the most, things like anger, sorrow are on a generic level. Right. Here you're seeing you're plummeting to the depths of human, the negativity, where you're seeing, family versus family, people not being allowed, relatives. I saw a case where a husband has not allowed his turned his wife away and locked the doors of the house because she was positive.
Oh God Almighty.
He just asked her to go or get out. This is the kind of negative emotions that are now being, seen.
Right.
Which is, I think, needs to be captured in a different webinar. Because, this is a whole different emotion which the world has not seen.
Correct. This is seems to be very deep. My God, I'm shocked to hear.
I've seen the case of this doctor in Pundamalli, that first case where, they chased the ambulance and all kinds of stuff.
Correct. That's right. They did not allow the burial.
So this is another, I mean, this has brought out the worst of human beings. It's also brought out the best of human beings. So, you're seeing all the different types of emotions play out.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you, sir, on that, because there was no power here. That's why suddenly I'm looking bright now. The
No, you were always looking bright.
In fact, your voice does the magic. Other than that.
And it's always nice to see you. It's always you come like a whiff of breath, fresh air. It's always nice to see you.
I kept saying that this family is very close to me. Gayatri told me, sir, எத்தனை தடவை தான் இதை சொல்வீங்க நீங்க Even in the rehearsal, I was saying this family is very close to me. She said, sir, சொல்வீங்க நீங்க.
இப்ப நீங்க இதுல you moved to Tambram, is it? இப்ப நீங்க தாம்பரத்துல இருக்கீங்க இப்போ.
That's right.
Oh.
That's right. We have closed the clinic because we are asked not to operate the clinic due to security reasons, safety reasons. So only virtual. So my patients have become global now. Hello. இன்னைக்கு தான் என்ன பாக்குறீங்க.
We enjoyed the program.
அப்படியா?
It was wonderful. She had a passion for dance right from the beginning. And she still dances as a subject. It was this discussion at the beginning. Her choice of the subject.
Thank you.
She has mastered it. I'm very happy. And you've connected your connection.
Thank you.
It was a very wonderful program. Devi brought out a pearl, invaluable pearl. I was very well.
Amba is coming on the line. I'll. Hello, Amba. Hello, Ma. Hi. You really rocked such a beautiful program. I have no words to describe how well it was. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, yes, Amba.
Hi, doctor.
Hi. ரொம்ப அழகா வந்திருந்தது.
For feedback.
Calling, ரொம்ப அழகா வந்திருந்தது. People could emote with you and it was such a moving experience for all of us. And very positive and rave reviews for you. ரொம்ப அழகா பண்ணாங்க, ரொம்ப அழகா எமோட் பண்ணாங்க, எங்களாலையும் அந்த எமோஷன் கொண்டு வர முடிஞ்சது அப்படின்னு. So it's all your years of hard work, I suppose, இல்லையா?
டாக்டர், உங்களுக்கு இந்த டாபிக் எப்படி உங்களுக்கு தோணித்து? How did you think of this?
One second, sir. I'm talking to Amba on the line. Yes, Amba.
Sorry. I can call you back.
No problem. உங்க அப்பா தான். He was asking me எப்படி இந்த டாபிக் உங்களுக்கு தோணுச்சுன்னு.
Oh, okay. I can call you back, doctor. Please talk.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Actually, you can be on line, Amba. இல்ல இது லாஸ்ட் டைம் நாங்க மியூசிக் அண்ட் த மைண்ட் அப்படின்னு பண்ணோம். How music can provide solace for people who are disturbed. So as a series, we wanted to move to dance, and who else will I go and ask other than Amba? So and Amba ஒண்ணுமே கேட்கல, எதுக்கு எப்படி பண்ண போறோம், என்ன விஷயம் ஒண்ணுமே கேட்கல. பண்ணலாம் டாக்டர், இந்த வாரம் பண்ணலாம், என்ன டெக்ஸ்ட் என்ன மெட்டீரியல் சொல்லிடுங்க அப்படின்னு. Immediately she agreed. I was so touched. And we had a rehearsal also yesterday. She spent time to write up a text and all that.
Who was the audience, doctor? உங்க இவா இருந்தாலா? Yeah, who was the audience basically?
Mostly psychologists
or
doctors, psychiatrists, medical professionals, and psychologists, psychiatric social workers, therapists basically. So a very wide range of therapists.
Anyway, thank you so much, doctor. Once everything settles, please come home to our new house.
டெஃபினட்டா வரேன். உங்க டிஃபன் பாக்ஸ் என்னோட கிளினிக்ல இருக்கு.
இருக்கட்டும், இருக்கட்டும். That's our தூது, sort of தூது டப்பா.
All the kesari dabbas are there in my. Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, doctor.
Thank
Have a great.
Thank
Thank you.